drum. We're switching to the key of A to do a very popular tune, Cluck Old Hen, banjo and fiddle tune, song with all sorts of floating verses to it.
Hi there, folks. Welcome into the second day of our online Old Time Banjo Festival. I hope you're all doing well out there. I'm going to bring on my co-host and the wonderful Cathy Fink. Can you hear me, Cathy?
I can. Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Excellent. And today we've got Lukas up first, who's going to be doing a workshop for the next hour and a half. And as you can see, you're all muted, and I'll go over some of the just general description of how this workshop's going to work. Lucas, can you hear me? Is everything working out there in Mountain View?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll be getting to your workshop in just a second here. And let's see. I hope you all were able to join us last night for the concert. Lucas and Ian played a tremendous show, and we've got another full day of workshops and concerts lined up. Cathy, anything you'd like to share with folks?
Well, I'm just having a great time quickly scanning who's here and saying, Lucas, this is insane. We've got people from the UK, we've got people from Saskatchewan, California, all over. It's somebody from Glasgow. I mean, we've got people from Scotland who. This is just so wonderful, and I want to welcome you all and thank you all for joining us in this banjo party. And you're kicking off a great day here, Lucas.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody in the workshop to just briefly go up to the right of their screen where it says gallery view, just to poke around and see how many folks are here. You get a little sense of all the various banjos that are in here. You can all wave hi to each other. Say, hey, everybody. Sweet. It's my favorite part of these. Before we get started, just want to do a quick overview of how the chat function will work, because that's going to be really important here. Appreciate everybody saying where they're from and saying hi for now. But from now on, we'd like to just use the chat for questions specific to the workshop. And Cathy and I will monitor those and pass those along to Lukas during the workshop. So you all are muted, and Lukas will, every now and then, Cathy and I will jump in, pass along. We'll try to get to all the questions. We'll also leave some time at the very end, maybe about 10 minutes or so, for just some general banjo questions that you might like to ask Lukas. But if there's nothing else I should also mention that there is a link to this video, to this workshop on YouTube that I sent out to your email just a few minutes ago. That's also where the recording of this workshop will be stored. Maybe, Cathy, you want to say a word about the recording and the live stream of this?
Sure. So if accidentally, because the internet is not a perfect thing, we don't even know what it is, but if you accidentally get kicked out of the workshop or your internet drops out and you find you're not in the workshop, you should be able to rejoin it through Zoom using the same link. But you could also go watch the workshop. I recommend that people take that YouTube link and paste it somewhere else in your, Brad just posted it, paste it somewhere else on your computer so that you have access to it, and if something goes wrong with Zoom, you can continue with the workshop, okay? And other than that, I think that's all the ground rules. One different thing that everybody noticed yesterday is because you're all muted, you can noodle as much as you want. Of course, the more you're noodling, the less you're paying attention, but I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be the one. It's what you're all thinking in the background.
Yep.
But still, it's pretty wonderful. And the only other thing I want to mention is, of course, you all know that Lukas teaches online and has lots of great assets out there, and you'll probably be really excited to continue with some of those. And he's playing a banjo he made, because that's what Lucas Poole does, in the music store that his parents own. And Brad, anything else, or turn it over to Lucas?
Yeah, I think it's time to get started here with Lucas Poole, and looks like Eden will be joining in for the first part of the workshop. So yeah, Lucas, you can take it away.
Hi everyone, good to see you. So today we're going to be talking about learning melodies by ear. So we're going to talk first about tune form, and then how to break that melody down to something more basic so that we can build it back up with variations. And I have a bunch of tunes that we're going to go through and learn by ear. So there will be lots of noodling when you're trying to find those melody notes. And I'm really excited for today. This is going to be fun. So we're first going to start with Arkansas Traveler, because I figured it's a tune that most people have heard at some point. And a lot of people know it because of the nursery rhyme, I'm squishing up a baby bumblebee. It's the same melody. So it's a good one to start with because it might be ingrained in your mind already. So we're going to play the tune, and I just want you to listen to it. We're going to play all of the extra melody notes that we can think of when we're playing it. And then we'll talk about tune form and how to break it down to its core melody. And then some practical tips to actually find those melody notes on your banjo. All right. All right, so let's talk about the form a tune form. I'm sure all of you probably know this, but tunes usually have an A section and a B section. And when you're trying to pick up a tune by ear, you can't just attack it all at once. You really need to focus on snippets of the tune. So it's fairly obvious that you have the A section and the B section, so you should start with a section. We'll start with A section. But even when you look at just the A section, it subdivides even more. It's not just the A section. For instance, this tune has 4 phrases to the A section. Old time music is a lot like blues music in that it's call and response most of the time. So you'll have a phrase, like I'll say a musical phrase, and then there will be a response to that phrase. Then I will say that same phrase again, and there will be a different response. It's kind of like if I say to Eden, how's the weather doing today? And she says something to me.
It's sunny and bright.
It's sunny and bright, she says. And I didn't quite pick that up. I'm a little slow today. I haven't had my coffee. And so I asked again, what's the weather like today? And she has...
It's nice.
It's nice, just to kind of get to the end and finalize it. So if we look at the A section, we have the first phrase, that kind of first blues phrase or old time phrase in our case, which is, I'm squishing up a baby bumblebee. That's the first phrase. I call it the call phrase. Then we have the response phrase, which is the answer to that first phrase. You have call, response. Then it repeats the same phrase, the call. And then you have the final response, which ends it. So just narrowing it down to the A section and then seeing that there's 4 phrases there, call, response, same call, and final response. That's a big deal for me because if you learn that first phrase, know that you're going to repeat it in another measure. And after that call response, you're going to repeat that phrase. So you're getting a lot right there. So right there, there's only actually 3 phrases you need to memorize. If we go to the B section, it's call and response too. We have the call, then the response, then that same call, and then the final response. So call, response, same call, final response. Something else I want to point out before we start digging into breaking melodies down is that, so the A section is call and response, the B section is call and response, but the other cool thing to look out for is that final phrase from the A section and the B section. It's a 50-50 chance that that final phrase is going to be the same in the B section as in the A section. So right there's another phrase that once you learn it, you already know it. So it's all about using what am I looking for? getting the most out of your time, right? You don't want to waste your time. So knowing that there's a lot of repeated phrases and tunes. Within that tune, there's phrases that repeat a whole bunch, and if you can memorize it, you're set.
A good way to look at that is like thinking of a style of music like a language, and there are really common phrases and things that we say over and certain
Slang.
Words that we say over and over again, and you know, the more you spend time with that language, the more you pick those up. So
that is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny? The C scale or the D scale, we're in D. There's only 8 notes in the D scale, you know, and in the key of D, we pretty much stay within that scale. So there's only 8 notes, and one of them is repeating the same note. So really, you can think of it like 7. And we don't really go out of that scale when we're playing most old time. So that's why there's so much language, or so many phrases that are repeated, just because there's only so many notes and so many orders you can put them in. So we're going to try and take the most from that in this class. All right, so let's talk about breaking melodies down to a more basic version. There are 3 levels of melody, and this was a big revelation in my life for musically that I figured out. About 11 years ago, I had a teacher, Matt Glazer, that pointed this out, and I'll show you how he taught me to use the basic melody to expand on tunes. And so there's 3 levels of melody. You have that first layer, which is all of the notes, and it's a lot to handle. You have it's all, what is it? It's all 16th notes. It's just a lot, and usually that's what the fiddler player does. But that's not our job to play all of the notes. Our job is to kind of groove, get that bum ditty, hold down the foundation. So it's more melody than we need. Let's play all of the melody notes for you guys with 16th notes. And we'll just do the A section, because we're going to focus on the A section. 3, 4. So that's with all of the melody notes. So our job now is to cut through all of those extra notes. You have the second level of melody, which isn't 16th notes, it's quarter notes. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to skip some notes. So instead of da ba da 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 ba da da da, can you count to 4? 1, 2, 1, and all right.
Yeah.
Da da,
2.
but really loudly.
Sorry.
Ba
1,
da
2,
da da da
3,
ba da
4,
ba ba ba
2,
ba ba. So
3.
see, we're gonna take some of that out. We're gonna take the and. We're just gonna leave that 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna skip out on that and. So instead, it'll be da 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 da, and that's actually kind of hard to do. The most basic way is the easiest, which we'll get to, so don't worry about that right now. So we'll kind of play it that second layer for you. Ready? And you can just play it lightly with all the notes, and I'll play it with a little more stripped away.
Sure.
As an example, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hard. So you see, there's less notes there that we can take away, and this level's not as important as the first or the third that we're going to. So now we're going to talk about the most important level to me. It's the third level. It's the skeleton of the melody, with everything stripped down. In this level, everything is half notes. So it's just the 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the 1 and the 3. But you don't need to be thinking or counting in your mind because luckily you have 2 feet. What I want you to do is at home, I want you to be tapping your foot while we're playing. So it would look like this. If this was your foot, it'd be da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da. I want you to be tapping your foot and listening for the note that lands on that tap because that is the note that we were looking to get. It's that downbeat, the 1 and the 3, if you're counting to 1, 2, 3, 4. So that 1 and the 3, that downbeat where your foot lands, that is the core of the melody. We're trying to strip everything else away except for that. You will also you'll feel it in your chest and in your body because it's such a strong pulse. When the way things work is that first beat is a very strong beat. That second beat is usually a little weaker. The third beat is again a strong beat. Fourth is a little weaker. So that 1 and 3 is very strong, and that's when your foot hits. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And usually, naturally, when you play, you accentuate those notes, or fiddlers do. So you'll hear those notes as being louder. So that's another thing to listen to is feel that foot tapping, feel it in your body because you'll hear that something is louder and feels more important. And that's the note we're trying to catch on to. So she's going to play all of the melody notes, and you're going to tap your foot, and we're going to play it a couple times. First time we're just going to play it. Second time she's going to play it, and I'm going to pick out that melody so you can hear it if you haven't already picked it out. All right, shall we?
Yeah.
1 and 2 and... All right, here we go. Keep going. Da ba da 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 da. Oh, too low for me. All right, one more time and I'll play it on banjo. Ready? 1 and 2 and. Awesome. So we're looking to get that downbeat. So this is what I do when I'm in a jam session and I don't know a tune. And I do this every time. I first listen to the tune, I'll let it go through a couple times, and in my head, I'm just listening for the A section, or a phrase, just one phrase, the call. And I try to identify the form of the tune. There's A section, B section, there's call, response, same call, final response. And then I'm listening, and I'm trying to get that downbeat. I don't care about everything else, because if I can get that downbeat, if you can find that melody note, that downbeat, all you have to do is add a strum top, you know, the bum diddy, and then suddenly you can play the tune. So it's a lot easier instead of trying to attack all the melody notes and get overwhelmed, then just simplify it and find that core of the melody. And before we dig into the melody and learn this and then build it back up, it's not just always, this isn't just an idea for beginners. This is an idea that is really important to advanced players. It's kind of the fundamental of all music, is this kind of core of a melody. That one downbeat being really strong and that second downbeat on the third beat being really strong. It's a core fundamental thing. Very advanced players break it down because all of those extra notes really, between us, doesn't really matter as much as that downbeat. And what some of my favorite great advanced players are doing in all genres is they take that core melody, they take all the other notes out of it, and they find different ways to link up those extra notes to that core melody. And that's that is suddenly you're taking a melody and you're not taking all of the melody away. You're just you're playing the important notes, but you're fitting in different ways of linking those notes up, and that's a super advanced idea, and that's improvising, a very subtle way of improvising. You're not deleting all of the good stuff, you're just changing what matters, or changing the stuff that doesn't matter so it sounds interesting. And fiddlers do that instinctively after a while, and that's what we're going to get into in a little bit. But for now, let's just learn the melody. Do we have any questions before I move on?
I think we're all good so far,
It seems
Lucas.
like
But
it.
if folks start to ask questions, I'll be sure to pass them along.
Cool. All right, so let's learn this tune.
How do you know what tuning to start from?
How do I know what tuning to start with? Well, this tune is in D tuning. And so most tunes that are in either the key of C or D, I play in double C tuning. So if it's in C or D, I usually play it myself in double C tuning. And if I put a capo on the second fret, then I'm in the key of D instead of the key of C. So I kind of use, for G, I use G tuning. For A, I also use open G tuning. So that's how I know. I have a couple tunings that I like playing out of.
If you're in a jam, it's pretty safe to just ask people what key they're in.
Oh,
if you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
sure.
If you don't know
Hey,
the key, just
yeah,
ask.
I mean, just ask people what key they're in. But as far as the tuning, that might be a little different.
All right. So
I think Jeff is asking a bit more broadly about how do you know what key a tune is in,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if you aren't in a jam? Like, how do you just start from
sure,
knowing
you know
what
how
key
I
it
do
is?
it. This, let's say I'm in C tuning, double C tuning right now. What I do is, if I'm in double C tuning without a capo, I know that this is a C note, and I just take this low note and I just keep going up until I hear something that kind of matches. Like, so this is a G note, and I'll keep going up, and there's only, most tunes are either in A or D, sometimes G. So I first check with that. So I'll go, okay, here's a G note. No, it doesn't sound right. Here's an A note. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like. And so I'll kind of make that chord, and I'll check with A or D or G, and I'll play those chords while the musicians are playing, and I'll keep playing it until I hear, oh, yes, that is definitely the key we're in, and you'll kind of get that feel. That's how I used to do it, and yeah, I still do, so sometimes. But lately I just ask. You get less bashful when you know the group of people you're playing with. So, but if you're watching YouTube, obviously you don't have that option, right? So, all right. So something I forgot to mention is that this is going to take time. Learning melodies, being able to pick it out, the core melody, is something that has to be practiced. I used to practice it with my favorite CD in the car. I'd be listening to a tune, especially songs you really have well. You need to have the tune in your head. I used to practice it in my car, but then I noticed when I was, tapping my foot on that downbeat, my car was kind of doing this. So don't do it in the car. Practice at home. You'll get pulled over for sure. It's kind of embarrassing. And so pick out CDs that you really like and tunes you really know. My two favorite CDs for practicing it when I first started trying to pick out the downbeat was Feed Your Babies Onions. Is that the album?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
The
album.
Highwood String Band, Feed Your Baby with Onions.
And the second one, which all of you need to go, it's like, this isn't a magical album. It's not really an album as a workbook that Cathy Fink has put out. And what is it? It's old time party favorites or something. And it's just, it comes with a book, and it's like $20, and it has sheet music. So the music's not really, I don't use sheet music very often, but the CD is amazing because it's Bruce Molsky, Cathy Fink, Mark Schatz on bass, and Marcy on guitar. And what I like is they play everything full speed, but then there's a track after it, them playing groovy and like super slow. You should check out that album. It's just one of my all-time favorite just to listen to around the house. So, and it has a lot of classics. All right, so let's learn the first phrase. Will you play the first phrase with all of the notes really slow?
Yeah.
1 and 2 and da 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 ba ba da da ba da da da. Let's do it again. Da 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 da. So do you hear that? Just nod your head at me since I can see you. Do you hear that downbeat? Da 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 da. So everyone get on your banjo and let's learn that melody. It starts on a second string open. Da. Then it goes down. Da. So da. Find that note. And that note is third string, second fret. Da, if you don't have it yet. Da. Then it goes even lower. Da. So even lower. And that's just an open third string. And then it goes back up to the original note. Da. So because you know it's that original. Da, 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 da. So it's going to be second string open, third string, second fret. Da. Third string open. Da. Second string open. That is the first phrase of the melody. And all you have to do is add a strum top after it to make it work. And you could be making a chord if you want, a C chord, a 1 chord while doing this. Or you could just leave it all open and just play the melody without, because we're in an open tuning, so it just kind of works if you just leave it open as well. So either way works. So again, da, 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 da. Everyone got that? How about you play that second melody? Brad's really getting it on the fiddle. Just played all the notes. The next line is da ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da do 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 or something. But we're gonna break it down to da 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 da, which is gonna be da 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 da. So that's gonna be hitting your first string open, da, and then it goes up, da. First string, second fret, and then first string goes back down, and then third string open, da. So pick out that melody, da 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 da. Cool. So let's play that first phrase together, and then the second phrase we'll do. Actually, let's play that second phrase. Da da. Ready? 1 and 2 and da 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 da. Again. Da da. And you can just add in that bum diddy after it, and you have the melody. So let's play the first phrase and the second phrase together. 1 and 2 and da 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 da. Cool. So we have the first phrase, the call, the second phrase, the response, and now we're gonna play the third phrase. Now, if you remember, the third phrase is the same as the first because it's call, response, same call, and then final response. So let's put the first 3 phrases, call, response, same call. All right, ready? 1 and 2 and response. Call. And here's the final response. Will you play it for us? Da, da, da. So it's going to be da, da, da. So it's going to be da, second string, da, then da. That's third string, second fret. Da, even lower, third string open, and then fourth string, da. Cool. So da, da, and it's a descending line. It starts on the second string and it ends on the very lowest note. So da, da. Right? So it's second, third string, second fret, third string open, and then fourth string open. So let's play that melody together, and then we'll play the whole song. So let's do it a couple times. Here we go. 1 and 2. And no, final response.
My bad.
It's cool. All right, 1 and 2. And da, da, da. Cool. That's the A section. Let's give it a shot, okay? Here we go. 1 and 2. And da, 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 Awesome. Cool. Let's do that. We're going to play it 3 times in a row before we move on to the B section. And then we'll dig into the tune a little deeper. All right. Here we go. 1 and 2.
We got a couple questions to insert here.
I can see them.
Oh, great. Then read away. That's what these young people can do. They can read small print.
So I had some good questions. One was about chords, and we were gonna get there. So it's chord. Well, chords help us find melody, and it absolutely will. The melody note lives within the chords, and the melody suggests chords, and the chords suggest melody. So if you learn your chords first, it definitely is going to help. The core of the melody is almost always within the chord. All those extra notes aren't always, but usually the core of the melody is within the chord. So learning your chords first definitely help. And I have some tricks for here, because first you're going to have to learn how to hear chord changes, which we'll get into a second, some tricks for that. I want to get into real quick how to play a C scale, because everything we're playing is within the C scale. So one of the big things I can show you guys is how to play that C scale, because it's a roadmap to where all the good sounds are. I just wanted to get you playing a little first, because I don't want you to just be sitting there hearing me lecture. So now I can get back into a little more of that. So real quick, let's learn a quick C scale, and I think that was all the questions. Having basic scales. Oh, well, that's good. So, okay. Can you play the tune just strum chording chords? Yes, I can. All right, so let's learn a basic scale, and we're gonna learn it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we're gonna keep going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna go all the way up because the B section goes way up here. So let's play the 4th string open, and it's okay if you don't memorize this right now. There's tab for all this on our site that we're going to give you a link to, so you don't have to memorize everything right away. 4th string open, 4th string 2nd fret, 4th string 4th fret, 4th string 5th fret, or so 5th fret, sorry, I'm having a moment. So 4th string, let's start over. 4th string open, 4th string 2nd fret, 4th string 4th fret, 4th string 5th fret. Then you're going to hit your 3rd string open, 3rd string 2nd fret, 3rd string 4th fret, and then we're going to hit the 2nd string open. So noodle around with that for a second. I'll do it again. Notice that on the 4th string, the 3rd string is going to follow that same pattern of 2nd fret and 4th fret, and then we're going to hit the 2nd string. But you could also as well just go towards the 3rd string 5th fret. It's the same note, so it's all on the same fret really. So you can kind of get all those melody notes on the same fret. And those are all the good notes for the key of C, or in this case, we're in D right now. So you really want to memorize this pattern. So 4th string open, 4th string 2nd fret, 4th string 4th fret, 4th string 5th fret, 3rd string open, 3rd string 2nd fret, 3rd string 4th fret, and then 2nd string open or 3rd string 5th fret. And that is your C scale in 1 octave. So now we're going to go up the scale. So we're going to play this. We're going to go up the scale. Hit your 2nd string open. Hit your 1st string open. 1st string 2nd fret. 1st string 3rd fret. 1st string 5th fret. 1st string 7th fret. 1st string 9th fret. 1st string 10th fret. So part of the problem with scales is everyone practices going up, but they never practice going back down the scale, which most tunes are half going down. So you have to practice not just going up, you have to practice going back down. So so let's see, 5, 7. So 1st string 10th fret, 1st string 9th fret, 1st string 7th fret, 1st string 5th fret, 1st string 3rd fret, 1st string 2nd fret, 1st string open, and then 2nd string open. And you can keep going down. You can go 3rd string 4th fret, 3rd string 2nd fret, and 3rd string open, 4th string 5th fret, 4th string 4th fret, 4th string 2nd fret, and 4th string open. So if you want to practice your scales, I have tab for this that I'm going to give you, and I would suggest you adding the bum ditty after it. So and you can then practice going back down. I also actually, it's right here. I have you'll have this handout, scales and exercises, and we're not going to go into it now, but there's some other exercises, because this scale going up is kind of just walking up to the next note, but there's some exercises that will help you hear and learn intervals. Instead of just walking up, you can go, and I have tab for that you will have, and you will be able to go through that on your own. So you'll be able to go, maybe it's this exercise that I have. Because tunes, you know, they like to follow little 3-note patterns that go up and then go back down. So they're good exercises, and it'll help train your ear and muscle memory those fingers. So you can go through that. Before we move on to the B section, do you have to go? I gotcha. All right.
I'll be back in a bit.
Totally. So those are the exercises that you'll have in tab. As far as chords go, absolutely hearing the chords, learning the chords first is always a good thing, or learn the melody and then find the chords. Either way, whatever your process is, it's different for each song. So yeah, chords follow kind of a progression. There's you know, the 1, 4, and 5 are the most common chords, and by 1 I mean we're in the key. Like, if let's say we're in the key of C, we're in the key of C, so 1 is C because that's the key we're in. It's the most important chord, C. You know, it's like number 1. The 4 chord, it's kind of like this. If you count from C, C, D, E, F. Okay, so if you count up, kind of C, D, E, F, and you kind of go up, F is the 4 chord. If you keep going up, C, D, E, F, G, that's the 5 chord. Well, the 1, 4, and 5 chord are the most important chords to remember. 1, 4, and 5. In the key of C, it's C, F, and G. We're in the key of D, so it's a little different. It's D is number 1 because it's the key we're in. So D, E, F, G. That's the 4 chord. That's another chord that you're going to want to focus on. 1, 4, and then so D, E, F, G, A. That's the 5 chord. But it's really hard to kind of be thinking when you're playing and going, you know, transposing and going, oh, I have a capo on, so it's 1. It's just easier to call things 1, 4, and 5 in mind than the letter name. So 1 is home. 4 is right here. It's 1st string, 3rd fret, and 3rd string, 2nd fret. And 5 is right here. 2nd string, 2nd fret, 4th string, 2nd fret. And that's true whether I put my capo all the way up here or down here. This shape is 1, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 1. And on the worksheet I have for you guys, it points out the most common chord progressions, which is usually 1, and then it'll go to the 4 chord, maybe the 5 chord, and then back to 1. So tunes usually go 1, 4, 5, 1. Another common progression would be 1 to 4, then back to 1, and then to 5, and then back to 1. So 1, 4, 1, 5. Sometimes it's 1, 5, 1, 5. But that's pretty much it in old time music. You don't get too weird. Sometimes you'll have a random 6 chord. So you need to learn to hear chord changes on the fly if you want to use chords as kind of being helpful for picking out melody. And you always know it's the 1 chord because it feels like home. When you play that 1 chord, you hear it, it's just going to sound great. Home. Your 4 chord is kind of the one that's up in the air. So 1 to 4. From there, it could go anywhere. It could go back to the 1 or it could go back to the 5. It's kind of a 50-50 chance you're going to get it right. Like when it gets to the 5 chord, you're going to know when it's on the 5 chord. It's kind of like how when you play the 1 chord, home. When you get to the 5 chord, you know, and you'll learn because it has the most tension and build up. The 5 chords are really big. So listen to me play, and I'll call out the chords, and feel that tension when you hit the 5 chord. And the 5 chord is almost never going to go back to that 4 chord. 5 chord almost always goes back to 1. If it doesn't go back, they call that deceptive because it's doing something weird. So 1 chord could go to 4 or 5. You'll know when it's on 5 because it's this huge build up and tension. It's really exciting. 4 is a little more peaceful. So you'll hear that change to 1 to 5. And you know where it's going when it's from 5 because it's probably going to go to 1. So people ask, how do you know what chord is next? Well, I go, well, 1 feels like home. 5, you know it's where it's going to go after that, and it's this really big tension. 4 is a little more relaxed and could go either way, but you'll know when it goes to 1 because it feels like home, and 5 has that tension is, so you can kind of tell. Other things to listen to is like you'll know when people are going to change chords because you'll hear a bass line. A guitar player will go. So when you hear that on a guitar or a bass, that kind of bass movement, you know that they're going to be changing into a new chord and walking into it. Tonight, when you're listening to Cathy and Marcy, listen to Marcy because she's got that bass line going on. She's really good at signaling, and that it's a very musical thing to be walking into that next chord. Old time doesn't always have bass, but when not, listen to the guitar player and they'll do that bass line. So I'll play your chords. I have the 1 chord to the 4, 5, back to 1, because 5 always goes to 1 almost. So back to 1, to 4. You know what that chord is? It's 1 because it feels like home. You can tell. So again, at 1 to 4, you can feel it fall back home, which feels very different from going from 1 to 4, 5. You feel that tension, kind of 1, 4, and it just keeps going up higher. And if you want to practice hearing chords by ear, the best thing you can do is go to a jam session and just practice your chords, and or make a play along track. Play your 1 chord and then your 4 chord and your 5 chord, and then play and make a little YouTube or video play along track on your phone, and you can just play with it. Or for instance, the tabs I'm giving you, I have 9 tunes tabbed out, and it's the basic core melody, and there's going to be chords above all of them. So I'll have links to some great audio tracks for these tunes, and you could practice playing the chords and just hearing when it's going to change and linking it all up. It takes time. It's not an overnight thing, so don't beat yourself up if it doesn't come naturally.
Hey, Lucas.
Sure.
Somebody asked a great question, which is, are there certain fingers assigned to certain frets?
That is a good question. There is a general rule. And I break it all the time, especially when you're practicing this scale. I'm going to use my first finger for this first note. And then I'm going to use my ring finger for the 4th string 4th fret. I'm going to use my pinky for that 4th string 5th fret. And then I have a 3rd string open. So I'm going to assign my first finger to the 2nd fret, my ring finger for this 4th string 4th fret, and my pinky for this 4th string 5th fret. So, and I'm going to do that going all the way up. So I kind of assign fingers for scales, but it's different because sometimes you need to break that because you're going somewhere like a chord, and you need to break that rule. But at first, that's how I think of it personally. I have if you go to, I think it's, my website has a beginner course that's free, and it has a lesson just on that, on scales, basic scales. So what we just did, and it's Ozark Banjo, and if you click on beginner lessons, free, and it has a lesson on scales, so you can go over and you'll have the tab here, but you could also go there, and there's a little video on it and basic chords and hearing chord changes. So it might be a good resource to kind of go back over it, and you'll have this video. All right, so yeah, let's dig into the B section, because there's so much I want to cover still, and it's mostly on the B section. That's where I really want to dig in. So I don't have a fiddler with me right now, but I'll play you the full melody, and you tap your foot. So So instead of da 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 da, I'm gonna break it down to just da da. So da 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 da. Right. So let's break the B section into 4 phrases. You have the first phrase. That's your first phrase. So it's gonna be da da. Let me see. 1 second. Yeah, that's the first phrase. Da da. 1 second. I have this right here. So the first phrase is gonna be first string, 5th fret, da, and then it's gonna walk down that scale, da. Keep walking. So first string, 3rd fret, da, and it's gonna walk down that scale, another da. First string, 2nd fret, and then first string open. So it's walking down that scale. Right? That's the first phrase. So Eden is back to join me, and she's going to play that first phrase, da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da ba da, and we're gonna play along. 1 and 2 and da da da. Do it again. Da. 3rd string, 2nd fret, open again. 5th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd, open. Cool. Then the response is da 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 da. So will you play that da ba, and I'll play the melody. I know it's hard to play out of context, isn't it?
I'm trying to think about all the notes first.
So da da. It's okay. Da 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 da. So it's gonna be 2nd string da, and then it's gonna walk up the scale to that 1st string da. Then it's gonna go up to the 1st string, 2nd fret da. Then 1st string open da. Right? So let's play that together. 1 and 2 and da da da. Again, da. 2nd string open, 1st string open, 1st string, 2nd fret, and it's gonna repeat that first phrase because call, response, same phrase. So let's play that 3rd phrase. 1 and 2. So 5th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, and then suddenly we're here at the final response, which you guys already know because it's the final response in the A section. Look at you. I love that you can repeat lines. It's so great. So the last line is da. It's a descending line. Remember, it's 2nd string, open, da. Then 3rd string, 2nd fret, 3rd string, open, 4th string. Yeah, so descending. So let's play the whole B section, and then we can work on adding extra stuff back onto it. Here we go. 1 and 2. Yeah. So 5, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, 2nd string open, 1st string open, 1st string, 2nd fret, 1st string open. Repeat. Final response. Let's do it again. So call phrase. Okay, awesome. I have a question. Do you ever play your tunes with all 16th notes Snowdrop? Snowdrop's such a pretty tune, and you can play it fast, but I like to play it slow, and I don't like to put all the melody because I like space in that tune. But you absolutely could. Okay, so now that we have this tune outlined, let's talk about why it's useful other than just picking up a melody by ear, because we've talked about, the 3 different levels. We've talked about breaking it down and how to hear that core melody. and scale. We went over a scale so that you know where the positions are, and played some chords. You can once you take out all of this extra stuff, you can then fill it in with something else. So instead of playing all those melody notes, we can substitute it. So let's first talk about throwing some drop thumb on it. And if you don't know drop thumb yet, that's okay. You can use this video for later to reference from. We're not going to stay on drop thumb forever, just for a hot second. So you can use drop thumb to kind of catch all of the melody notes. You know, right now I'm kind of picking it all on one string, but instead of picking on one string, use drop thumb to catch all the notes. But let's not talk about catching all the melody notes. Let's talk about using drop thumb to do something different. So I'm going to use drop thumb to add just kind of a more drony sound. It's not really pertinent information. It's just kind of background droning, rolly sounding noise. So you're going to start off by hitting your first string and thumb landing on the second string, open, and then hit your first string again, and thumb's going to land on the fifth string. So it's going to be 1, 2, 1, top. So once we break it down to the core melody, it's really easy to add that drop thumb in. So basically, every time we have first string, 5th fret, we're going to hit that first string, second, first, top. So each melody note's going to get a full 1, 2, 3, 4 of drop thumb, because we've broken it down, and we're not, we're playing it all in 16 notes, but we're not playing critical information. We're just kind of doing drony drop thumb. So it's 1, 2, 1, top. And you can slide it down and go 1, 2, 1, top. And then slide it down again. 1, 2, 1, top. And then do it open. So if you're wondering, how do I throw drop thumb into a tune, which I hear a lot, well, first you have to kind of take it down to this core melody. So that's why it's important, not only just for learning melodies, but for taking your banjo playing to that next level, is once you break it down, suddenly there's room for drop thumb. That's not just trying to catch all the crazy melody notes. It can be very peaceful to go. Right? Something else I want to remind you, I remember growing up, there was kind of this theory that when you drop thumb, you're not playing rhythm. Well, you absolutely are, but if you want to play more rhythmic and with more drive and still drop thumb, you can go 1, 2, and then strum top. Instead of hitting first top, do a strum top, and then you still have that rhythmic push, and you have drop thumb. So it's 1, 2, strum top. So you can play that line. That's the first phrase. The second phrase. So anytime you have a bum ditty on that first note, you can add in a 1, 2, 1 top or strum top. So we have second string. We're not going to do it right now. We'll get there. Then first, you can throw it in there. And then we have it here again. So that's something that you can play around with at home. So you have two options right now. You could play it without the strum, or you could play it with the strum and the drop thumb. Or you could play it just going bum diddy, bum diddy, bum diddy, bum diddy. Or heck, just get rid of that strum. You could just go, right? So you have a ton of options right there, and those are all really neat textures. And so choosing which texture to go between is improvising, and you can build and texture your playing, and it'll sound more complicated. And so that's the idea, is like, I have these 9 tunes for you broken down into core melody. I hope that you will go home and try and pick them up by ear and figure them out by yourself. But if you need to refer to that, you can. And then try and think about all the different textures I can add on top of it. So here's another idea with drop thumb that's really easy to apply. Instead of going 1, 2, 1 top, we're going to change that drop thumb pattern. That first note is really important. It's the downbeat. So we're not going to skip that first note, but we can change everything else in our drop thumb pattern. So instead of going 1, 2, 1 top, let's try doing through some exercises. So we'll go to 1, 2, 2 top. So it'll be first string, second, top, right? And then we'll move down and play that same pattern. So listen to how it sounds like the first way and then the second way and how it changes the texture. So we have the first way or the second way. Oh, it kind of has this nice little punch. It's great. And suddenly you've changed the texture again. We can do it again by changing that third note again. We can go 1, 2, third string top. So it'll be first string, second string, third, fifth string. So we can keep changing that third note. So it would sound like this the third way. That's cool. One of my favorite ways to change this drop thumb would be to go 1, 2, 4 tops. Listen to this. It's got this really cool drone and you know, you ever listen to a fiddler? Sometimes they'll play a melody note and then they'll go down and catch that low bass for a drone. And so it's good you can practice all of these different textures, but that kind of 1, 2, 4 top is mimicking that. So that's part of my way of improvising with her is if she goes into that texture, I can mimic it. And so I can hold down the fort with the core melody, but and complement her, but I can also mimic her. And the only way you're going to get there is if you try it each way and find what you like. And again, these melody notes only happen, they repeat themselves tune after tune. You'll see the same lines. So if you kind of go through a handful of tunes trying this each way with some drop thumb or with the bum ditty, you'll find what works and what you like, and you'll get to the results you want faster each time you kind of do this.
Hey, Lucas, can you review that one concept where you did the drop thumb down to, or you played the bass note? There were a couple questions about
sure.
that. Just getting that one mixed in, maybe exactly how you're doing that.
Sure. So real quick, we're doing drop thumb, and that first note is always going to be the same. We're hitting that first string because that's the melody note, right? Da, 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 da. And the basic drop thumb pattern is first string, second string, and then first string again with thumb on top. And it's a 4-note pattern. And what I just did was I took the third note and I changed it each time. So the first note stayed the same. It's the first string. Second note stayed the same. It's the second string. But that third note I'm changing. So I might put it on the second, or I might hit the third, or I might hit the fourth string. So in this case, I was going 1, 2, then I hit my fourth string and followed by my fifth string. So 1, 2, fourth top. So I'm changing it. First pattern I went through was 1, 2, 1 top. The second pattern was 1, 2, 2 top. The third pattern was 1, 2, 3 top. Fourth pattern, 1, 2, fourth string top, which was the one that I told you I liked because it kind of mimicked that fiddle droning. And I give each melody note this 4-note pattern. So did that help? Hopefully. So other things that we can do, really easy techniques that will spice up this tune without adding in any extra melody, same basic melody, is we can add harmony in really easily. So let's play part of our scale with harmony real quick, and then we're going to apply what we just learned over the harmony. So we have our first chord. It's first string, second fret. And you don't think you're harmonizing it, but you are. So what I want you to do, we have, let's see. So we have the first shape. Then we're going to move this finger. I'm using my middle finger. I'm going to move it up 1 string to the first string, 3rd fret. And I'm going to put my first finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. And it's kind of harmonized. It's in thirds. You're harmonizing. And then we're going to take this shape and we're going to slide it 2 frets up. So first string 5th fret, second string 4th fret. Then we're going to slide up 1 fret. So your first finger is going to be second string 5th fret. And we're going to extend this finger right here from the first string 7th fret. And I'm not going to use my middle finger anymore. I'm going to use my ring finger. So it's second string 5th fret, first string 7th. So just a real quick recap, we have there's actually just 2 shapes you need to remember. There's this kind of closed shape that we're moving up, and then there's this wider space right here, right? So we started here, and the banjo nut it's actually a wide spacing if you think about it, and this banjo nut is doing, or capo is doing me a job. Then it's going to be closed, and then we slide it up and it's closed again. And I have something fun for you guys in a second. Then you scoot up 1 fret and it's wide. It's that wider spacing. Then you slide it 2 frets and it's a wide spacing again. Right? And then you slide it up 1 more fret. It's first string 10th fret, second string 9th fret. And you can keep going up. We won't right now. And what I like is you can harmonize. Instead of going, you can go. Or you can add the drop thumb. Right? Or you can add in the different 1, 2, 3 top, 1, 2. You can go through those different patterns, and suddenly it sounds has more depth. Right? So kind of practicing your scale while doing these patterns will help you. So I have one more thought for you before we move off of this and move onwards. You were doing it this way, first string and second string. I want you, and it's okay if you can't hang with this, and you need to come back to it later. I want you to move your second string to your 4th string because it's the same note. Second string and the 4th string are both C notes, so you can move, instead of going, you can go if you feel like it. So it'd be, it'll take some practice, but here it is. And suddenly, when you move it to the 4th string, you're no longer just playing a harmony. You're playing a new chord. And we're going to just lightly touch on this, is that first chord is your 1 chord. And it's, you know it, it's your C chord, or your D chord, we're in the key. It's your 1 chord. Your next one would be your 2 minor chord. And your next one would be your 3 minor chord. Next one would be your 4 major. Next one would be 5 major, 6 minor, 7, and then 1. And the 1 chord, and all you have to do is remember is 1 chord's always major, 4 chords always major, 5 chords are always major. The rest of them are minor. And it actually helps to remember this because remember how I was saying you have the 2 shapes. You have the closed shape and the spread shapes. Well, the spread shapes are the major and the closed are the minor. So you got the major shape, closed is minor, closed is minor, major, major. So it helps me to remember my shapes because, you know, the order, it's going to be 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor. And I have a whole lesson on this that will be on, I haven't put it on, I put a lot of stuff on the site for you guys, but I haven't put that out. I'll add, it goes into way more depth, but it'll teach you all of that. And what's cool is, when I was learning how to learning from my teacher how to break down a melody to its core, the reason he was teaching me was because if you take a melody and break it to its core melody, you can add in all of these extra textures on top. And his idea was then you can manipulate the melody, or when you break it to something more, melody suggests chords. And we were talking about, yes, learning the chords first helps. But if you break it to something more basic, suddenly you can suggest different chords over it, which is a super, again, advanced idea. So, putting a 3 minor chord over Arkansas Traveler, 2 minor chord, you can start. If you break it to something more basic, you can do really cool things. I mean, don't do it at a jam at Clifftop. They will not like that. But for your own entertainment, alone playing, it's a really peaceful to play something a little bit slower and then suggest chords. But that is down the line. Right now, we're just working on learning melodies by ear. Last thing I'm going to say is this basic melody, now that you've broken it down, everything links up. All these melody notes. Da, 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 da. So instead of going, we can add in different ways of walking into that melody. All the notes are just walking. This is the secret. In all genres of music, you have this core melody, and all of the other notes are just linking those melodies up. So you can change them. Instead of going, I can go. I can walk up into the note or go one below. Or, yeah, it's the same in every genre. And usually when you're trying to figure out other ways of walking into, you're trying to play variations, you're trying to walk in, so you're walking away from the note you just played and walking into the next one. You don't want to go straight to that note. You kind of want to walk a little bit past it, maybe one note past it. You never want to go more than 2 notes. And it's the same in counterpoint classical music. You never want to get too away from where you're trying to walk into that next chord, but not get too far away. It's the same in jazz music. They do this same thing. They just, instead of just playing the core melody, they might get rid of that, and they'll just kind of walk in and out of the root notes of the chords, and then they get wild. But it's the same thing in all styles of music, in old time, and it's just like this common language that's everywhere. Do you have any thoughts? Am I missing anything super important?
Hey, Lucas, there's a question or two I think that we might have missed, and also I put something in here and I wanted to make sure I got it right, which was, is there a code for a free month on your lessons?
Yes, just the word banjo, all
In
capital,
caps.
and it will give you
That's
it'll give you the rest of the month for free. So
Awesome.
yeah, and there's a beginner series there for anyone that wants to go through that as well. That's free. And what is the link, honey, for the? I have a private page with the tablature for you guys.
Yeah.
For this and a few videos.
Type this in as well. It's just our website.
So just so everybody knows, Lucas is going to get your emails. He'll be able to connect with you after the workshop.
I'll send you a
And
link.
there is a recording of the whole workshop that he'll get a link to. He can.
Oh, there's not supposed to be space there.
What am I talking? Oh yeah, I'm talking. Okay, good. So there's the website. It's on there. It's on the chat now, and
Thank you.
And you'll get the follow-up materials. I think we've kind of designed these so you're not burdened with having to look at lots of papers and all that kind of stuff. But you get your follow-up materials. You got a couple weeks of work to do.
Yes, and if you go to ozarkbanjo.com/banjofest, Eden just typed it in. It'll have the PDF, and I have Arkansas Traveler broken down to the core melody, Soldier's Joy, Cider, just a ton of Mississippi Sawyer, ton of tunes with the chords above them, so you can work on it. And then I also have a page that's tips and tricks for practicing and learning, picking out melodies by ear. So,
So we've got about 5 more minutes of instruction time, and then some more little Q&A. And if you feel like you've gone through most of the material, I bet people would love to hear you guys play. And maybe Lucas, you could play and like do a billion variations to Arkansas Traveler that you might.
That sounds fun. let's play the tune a few times through slowly, and then we'll play some variations. So I want you guys to, we haven't played through the whole song, so let's play the A section and B section. Play the A section twice, B section twice. Everyone can play along. Oh yeah, so this is super helpful. Core melody, it's a lot easier to pick something up the melody. You know, to kind of pick it out. So yeah, and
Did you see the note here, Lucas? Can you show us that one high note you played that sounded funny?
I'm not sure which one, but I have two thoughts that maybe it could be.
It was the one where you obviously didn't hit the note you meant to play. I was being snarky.
Oh, that was you, Brad. Thanks,
yeah,
buddy.
I'm sorry. I had to pick on you. Yeah.
Well, here's the trick: is if you play it twice that way, it's jazz. So you just no.
That's what you're paying for, folks.
Yeah. But yeah.
Lucas, you have so much facility on the fingerboard. It brings up one really great idea that I think would be fun for people to see, which is, hey, what happens when you accidentally hit that wrong note? How do you turn it into something musical?
You know.
How do you manipulate that?
Yeah. So if I hit in the best case scenario, if I hit a wrong note, you're only one note away, because that's how the scale works, right? If I hit a wrong note, you're only one note away, so you can kind of slide in, or I don't know, you can kind of slide in, or sometimes like sometimes a wrong note sounds pretty good. It accidentally turns into a chord or a tension. So you can kind of, again, repeat it a few times and make it funky. Like if you hit a really clonker, sometimes I'll play another clonker. I'll play like I know, like I would. You can just kind of play more out there, and it works.
But everyone thinks you're joking.
Yeah.
Well, they either think you're joking or they think that you're way smarter than everybody else.
Brilliant. Yeah. I was telling you about the chords. You can go. Or there's three ways to play every chord, which is a lesson I'll put up. And so, you know, for each note, you have three options for chords. And if you strip everything away, like this note has this option, or it has this option, or it has this option. And I have a lesson I love to teach. If you do go on the lesson, it's called Snowdrop. And it's great for that because it's really slow, you know, because I can go. You can play the the chords, or I could do it with the other option. Oh, it's so weird with this.
Hey, Lucas, there's a question here
Or-
asking
Yeah.
if you know of any open A or open D tunings with no capo, or do you always use a capo when you play an A and D?
Not always. The tunings I stick out of mostly are double C. I've been doing a lot of Sandy River Bell and open G. But there are other tunings, but they're more of specialty things for me. There's like that Rubens Train tuning, and or usually they're like singing songs. I really do like. Sometimes I'll use, Sawmills, very popular, and I love that tuning. I used to have a really bad attitude on tunings. Someone need to slap me around. I thought, well, why would I go to double C tuning when I can just play everything out of G? And then when I realized, oh my gosh, double C is the best tuning in the world. And then I was like, well, why would I go to Sandy River Bell when I can play everything out of G? And then you find Sandy River Bell. Or why would I play modal when I can just play, everything out of G and just put one finger here? And then I realized that these tunings have textures of their own. And I think Victor hit on that a lot last night. So I do play around with some alternate tunings, but they're really specific for tunes. I don't really go to them in a jam session unless it's for that specific tune. So, like, got that Rubens Train tune, which you can play, and then there's so many variations of this tuning that people do from Rubens Train. Like one tune I play is Lost Gander. I'll go.
Do you have these tunings listed on your site, or
yeah,
spelled out somewhere?
Yeah. So on the lesson, there's it's kind of cool. I have it. So I have a list of tunes alphabetically, and then above it, it's by tuning. There's a little panel, and you click whatever tuning you want to go to. And you click it, and it'll play all the tunes in that tuning. And every break has an easy and a hard version, because I want people to know the easy version, the kind of bare melody. And then I want people to be able to pick phrases from the harder one and take it at their own speed. So this whole bare melody thing is really important to me, that people get that core melody so that you can do fun things with it and take from the harder versions of the tunes. So yeah, there's a bunch of tunings on the website already, with a lot of specialty tunes. Yeah, so like it's a tune called Lost Gander that Mike Seeger played, which is one of the places I learned that tune. It's kind of, since this is isn't this tune kind of, this festival kind of dedicated a bit to him, so that's a good D tune. I'll play you a hair of it.
What is that tuning, Lucas?
I don't. It's 1 second. So I'm in G tuning. This is a B note, and I'm tuning this down the second string to an A, and I'm tuning this third one to it's going from an F sharp to an F. So it's G, F, A. Yeah, F, A, D. It's hard.
Do that again. I'm writing it down for people. G, F, A.
Oh, wait, whoa. Sorry. G, 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 D, then it goes E. Sorry, I messed up. A, B. And that's the, and I only play this one tune out of it. But the thing is, it's hard to play super melodically when you're in some, vibey tuning. So you really kind of have to just kind of be more open to playing less melody notes. And, it's hard for me to play different layers of textures, but I really enjoy just being in this tuning and playing this tune. So I do use other tunings, but it's more for like a really specific feel.
All right, well, we're closing in here. Any last questions for the chat? Or, let's take a second while we've got it, Brad, and unmute everybody and let y'all go wild and give Lukas some appreciation.
And I encourage you all to click on speaker view so you can see everybody here. But yeah, I'll unmute you all right now so you can say thanks to Lukas. Here you go.
Thanks, Lukas.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Lukas!
Thanks, Lukas.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Someone said the Virgil Anderson version. That's exactly it. If you type in Goose Chase, Virgil Anderson on.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. Oops.
You're good now.
All right. Yeah, Virgil Anderson. Go check that out. Goose Chase, Wild Goose Chase on YouTube.
So
there's
Lukas,
a nice comment. Somebody says, "Wow, I've got practice for a whole year coming up now from this lesson."
Good.
So we will send out that YouTube link that I sent out at the beginning of the lesson that's in your inbox. That'll serve as the recording for this workshop. And then Lukas will follow up with you and send along some tabs and a link to his website. And we also have a couple more workshops today. Maybe we'll see a bunch of you in that with, I think Frank Evans is coming up next, and then Allison DeGroot, who are both playing in the show tonight. And maybe just a quick plug, Lukas, for your banjos, your lovely instruments that you build.
Yeah. I can't see myself. Yeah, so we build banjos. That's
it looks like somebody's got one of your banjos out there.
Really?
Julie, yeah, Jules Metcalf, Julie. Yeah.
And Eden does all of the inlay work, and everything's handmade, and it's a slow process, but it's a process of love. We build probably 2-3 a month. And we have a waiting list now, though. It's like 2.5 years. But it's fun because, we get to talk a lot with the customer. And it's a passion of. We do a lot of, it's a weird career because it's a bit isolating in the shop. And it's really great to reach out and hear the customers over the phone. And that's why we like doing camps in the summer, and which is unfortunate we're not doing it. And this is nice because we try and balance our careers and lives so that we can travel and be with people at camps. And that's one of the reasons we do our online lessons. And then we can still be at home once in a while. And we have a little girl and horses and animals, so we do like to be home. And so our lives has just been taken over by the banjo in a good way, I think. And it's, it's just endless fun. I'm just building banjos and learning and teaching. And I appreciate Brad and Cathy letting me be a part of this.
Well,
I'm sure you aren't the only one whose life has been taken over by the banjo. I think you're in a group chat with about 65 people who might be able to claim that.
Last question. Somebody said, hey, if people wanted to send an additional tip to you for this workshop, how would they do it?
They can PayPal me at ozarkbanjo@gmail.com, or just subscribe to the lessons, and then you can keep learning. And that's a great way too. We also have a CD out that's for digital download on our website, and I think the lessons come with the CD. It's on our site with a tab book of all the tunes. So, but yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, this is totally awesome. And just don't forget, folks, tonight there is a concert. Chris Cool's going to be part of tonight's show. Allison DeGroot, Brad and myself. And who'd I miss? Frank and Allie
Frank
Lee.
Evans.
And Frank Evans.
And Frank and Allie Lee.
Workshop. And the YouTube link is, where is that? You want to post it one more time here, Brad?
The
For
YouTube
tonight's
link for the
concert?
recording? Sure, I can post
No,
that.
for the
Oh,
for
the
tonight's
concert. Yeah, it'll be through my Facebook channel.
No, your YouTube channel.
Sorry, my YouTube channel. My bad. I'm multitasking here. Yeah. Well, I will. I'll unmute everybody once more so you can say thank you to Lucas as you all sign out, and we'll maybe see you later today. All
Yeah,
right.
thanks, Lucas. And
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.
fabulous.
Thanks a lot, Lucas.
Lucas.
Yes. Thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Lucas and Eden.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Jules.
Great, guys.
I saw Lee Perkins on there. Look at all those faces.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank
So
you.
long.
Doing it. Let's do it again.
Oh, and they're all leaving and going back to the wild.
Yeah, hang in there for a minute, Lucas, and when they're all gone.
Thanks, Brad and Cathy, both of you. Take care. See you in a while.